All right, everyone, we're going to get started now. Welcome to everyone. I'm so glad to see you here today. Our conversation is going to be on cancer. I'm your host, Dawid Israel, and you are beyond welcome to be here, and we appreciate you. I want to thank all of our subscribers. I want to thank all of those people that have subscribed to our Patreon. We appreciate you keeping us strong and keeping us moving. We do appreciate you. So glad that you guys are here tonight. So, without any further ado, we are going to be talking about cancer tonight, which is an extremely important subject. All right. And make sure that you subscribe to our station so that you can get the notifications of when we're going live, as well as you're going to be able to chat, ask questions, or anything that you might need to do during the video as you're watching it. Okay. So it's very important that you do so. Make sure that you subscribe, and it helps our channel as well. Our goal is 1,000. We're at 26, but we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep trudging along until we get to our 1,000 and then move from there. Right. So, again, like I said, I appreciate everybody greatly, and look forward to seeing you again always. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and to watch our replays. Again, you have to be a member of our Patreon. It's patreon.com, patreon.com/health class. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/health class. Okay. And when you go there, you have to at least, we have right now I have a 7-day free trial on the YouTube videos. I have a 7-day free trial on the health class, so you can watch all the past health classes. And I have a 7-day free trial on the Getting High with Dawid. So that's powerful. So I take advantage of the Getting High with Dawid that has all my meditative courses, as well as the health, as well as the creation series. So it's got the spiritual, mental, and physical all locked in one. Okay. And then if you decide to go up a tier from that, that is going to be where I write your own health plan out. I sit with you. We have a consultation, and I walk you through the process of getting healed. You're also welcome to our free consultation if you would like. If you would like a free consultation, you can reach me at 708-549-4892. And you can text me, right? Or you can call, either which way. And I look forward to hearing from you all, seeing you all. Can be long distance or it can be local. It doesn't matter either way. Okay. So with that, I'm going to move forward into our disclaimer and then we'll get started.
Disclaimer. The information contained in this video is intended as an information resource only and is not to be used or relied upon for any diagnostic or treatment purposes. The video's information does not create any patient-physician relationship. Dawid Yisrael makes no representations about the accuracy or suitability of this content, as scientific and medical information updates and changes daily as more substantial information is discovered. Dawid Yisrael and any business associated during this video shall not in any event be liable for any direct or indirect damages, losses, injuries, or liability whatsoever suffered as a result of your use or misuse of this video's content. Use of this video is at the viewer's sole risk.
All right. So again, we're going over cancer today. We're going to be dealing with cancer. A, what is cancer? B, what are the symptoms of cancer? C, what are the causes of cancer? Then we're going to move into how to actually allow your body to heal the cancer. Okay. So it's going to be an extremely powerful course today. There's some surprises that I'm going to drop in here, I believe. And a lot of information that a lot of people didn't know. And so I advise you to watch it, get all the information that you can out of it, learn from it, and grow from it. Okay. So, again, we're going to start with what is cancer. First of all, the foremost, I apologize. We're going to move into testimonials. I do apologize. I forgot. I got to play the testimonial. I always like third party representation in order to share how our classes are and how they go. So if you could just bear with me, we're going to testimonial to hear from Isola.
Hi, Isola here. I just want to thank Brother Dawid for his wonderful health presentation today, and it just reinforced the knowledge that I already knew, that let food be thy medicine, okay? And if you are facing a challenge or you want to change your diet or lifestyles, make sure you take one of his upcoming program events.
Thank you.
All right. So again, like I said, we are going cancer now. If you have not subscribed, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Welcome all. Again, we're going to move forward now. So the four most common cancers in the United States are breast, prostate, lung, and colorectal cancer. Okay. These are the four most common, and we're going to be going through a whole week of just dealing with cancer and things that are going on in cancer, how they work, what's going on with them, the different types, and how to allow your body to be able to heal them. Okay. So breast cancer, the most common cancer, with an estimated 313,510 new cases in 2024. That means on top of the people that already have the cases that have not died yet, there's another 300,000 plus cases just this year of breast cancer. That's how serious this is. Okay. That is a lot of new cases. All right. Prostate cancer, the second most common cancer, with an estimated 299,000 new cases in 2024. And if you didn't know it, more men die from cancer than women. I was not aware of that. But more men die from cancer than women, and it's usually prostate cancer. Lung cancer, the third most common cancer, with an estimated 234,580 new cases in 2024. Lung cancer, men either dying from lung cancer or prostate cancer the most. All right. So if you're watching this and you're a man, you need to be paying close attention. I'm going to be going over all these types of cancer over the week. Colorectal cancer, a combination of colon and rectal cancer, with an estimated 152,810 new cases in 2024, right? So, and I can promise you all of these are coming from the colon, right? All of these cancers are coming for starting in the colon. It's just the one that's going to take you out. And it's based in the location, but the issue is basically the same. So these four cancers account for almost half of all new cancer cases in the United States. Lung, colorectal, pancreatic, and breast cancers are also responsible for nearly half of all cancer deaths. Okay? The cancer death rate is higher among men than women. Prostate cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in men after lung cancer, after lung cancer, okay? Now, so what is cancer? Cancer is a group of diseases that occur when cells grow and divide uncontrollably, okay? Cancer is a group of diseases that occur when cells grow and divide uncontrollably, forming tumors that can spread to other parts of the body. How cancer starts. Cancer occurs when the normal process of cell growth and death breaks down. Meaning, when cells are supposed to grow and die, when this cycle breaks down, this is where cancer comes from, allowing abnormal cells to grow and multiply. This can happen due to gene mutations that occur after birth. So these are usually in either the process or they're senescent cells that are no longer able to communicate with the rest of the family. Okay. And remember, communication is key. And the medium for communication is what? Is spirit. So the mode of communication is spirit. This is key to get. It's a very important concept to get. So again, spirit is what? Air or oxygen. And when the body's not getting oxygen, or when a cell can't get oxygen properly, it cannot communicate through the oxygen in the atmosphere. When this happens, you're going to have cancer. Also diabetes. Okay? This can happen due to gene mutations that occur after birth, right? All right. And how do we mutate genes? Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember how we mutate genes? You can put it in the chat. How cancer spreads. Cancer cells can invade nearby tissues and spread to other parts of the body through the blood and lymph systems. And if you get it in your lymph system, It's very dangerous. That's when it gets extremely dangerous. This process is called metastasis and is a leading cause of death from cancer. Okay? So, does anybody remember, how do we get mutated genes? How do we mutate our genes? Does anybody remember that? If you don't remember, I'm going to share with you. By cooking food. This is how we mutate our genes. And microwaving is also mutating. So cooking food, remember when we dealt with carcinogens, when carcinogens are created through cooking food, that can mutate your cells. That can change your genes. So this is why it's so dangerous, and this is why we got so many cases of cancer. All right? That's one of the main reasons. All right? Now, what are the symptoms of cancer? Pain, persistent pain that does not have a clear cause or doesn't respond to treatment. Lumps, a hard lump with irregular edges that's closer to the skin's surface. Weight changes, unexplained weight loss or gain of 10 pounds or more, right? This doesn't mean if you're on a diet or you're eating something you lose 10 pounds or you're eating differently. This will just show up out the blue. You'll just lose weight. That's a telltale sign of cancer. It can also be a telltale sign of type 1 diabetes, though, also. Skin changes, a new mole, a sore that doesn't heal, or a change to an existing mole. Bleeding, coughing of blood in the stool, and this don't mean like a little bit of blood in the stool. You have a lot of it. Blood in the stool, abnormal vaginal bleeding, or blood in the urine. Bowel or bladder changes, constipation, diarrhea, incontinence, or a change in bowel habits. Okay? And that doesn't always mean cancer. They're going to tell you that in a minute, but these are signs that it could be developing. Eating problems, trouble swallowing, belly pain or nausea and vomiting, fever or night sweats, unexplained fevers or night sweats, especially if they happen mostly at night. Other symptoms, vision changes, hearing changes, drooping of the face, weakness in limbs, dizziness, abnormal sweating, or jaundice, yellowing of the eyes or fingertips. Some of these symptoms can also be caused by other health conditions. However, if you have symptoms that don't get better after a few weeks, you should see your doctor. Okay? That's what they're saying. All right? And there's nothing wrong with getting checked for cancer if you think you got it. But I'm saying I'm saying it's up to you what you do from there. It's up to you for what you do from there. Now, these are 17 other symptoms. I'm going to read some more symptoms. Early detections is one of the best weapons against cancer. Screenings can detect the cancer before symptoms appear. You too can pick up on early warning signs by paying close attention to changes in your body. If you notice something new or different that lasts several weeks, and several weeks is key, reaching out to your healthcare provider. Okay? So abnormal periods or pelvic pain, changes in bathroom habits, bloating, breast changes, chronic coughing, chronic headache, difficulty swallowing, excessive bruising, frequent fevers or infections, oral changes, skin changes, pain that lasts, persistent fatigue, postmenopausal bleeding, stomach pain or nausea, unexplained weight loss. Okay? So pretty much they're pretty similar, but there were a few extras in there. All right? I wanted to make sure you got all the information. So, more than meets the eye. Now, we're looking at what is cancer still to a degree, but I want you to understand something about it, okay? So, in spite of continuous improvement in our knowledge of the nature of cancer, the causes of its formation and the development of new treatment methods, our knowledge is still incomplete. So they have a very incomplete knowledge of cancer. So when you're dealing with the doctors, I want you to be very clear. They do not understand cancer. All right? So it's very important to get that. A key issue is the difference in metabolism between normal and cancer cells. So the way that it metabolizes is different. This is key. The feature that distinguishes cancer cells from normal cells are the increased proliferation and abnormal differentiation and maturation of these cells, which are due to regulatory changes in emerging tumor, meaning that a normal cell matures to its full capacity. Cancer cells do not. All right, and I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute. Normal cells use oxidative phosphorylation or OXPHOS in the mitochondrion as a major source of energy during division. They divide utilizing OXPHOS, as they call it, okay? Oxidative phosphorylation, okay, when it comes to creating normal cells, okay? They use that as a major source of energy while they're dividing, while they're creating new ones, okay, while they're replicating. During OXPHOS, there are 36 ATP molecules produced. Notice it's 36 ATP molecules produced from one molecule of glucose, In contrast to glycolysis, the glycolysis, which provides an AT supply of only 2 molecules. Cancer only has 2 molecules of ATP, where there's 36 molecules produced from a regular. Okay? So it's using 1 glucose to make only 2 instead of using 1 glucose to make 36. Right? So it's eating up your energy. This is why you'll feel tired, because it takes more, it's creating less using more. So your body's efficient with the normal cells, but then it runs, it's 12, what's that? Not 12 times, that's 18 times less efficient when the cancerous cells are being replicated. You got what I'm saying? So, in contrast, right, okay, boom, boom. Although aerobic glucose metabolism is more efficient, right? Hold on one second. Metabolism based on intensive glycolysis provides intermediate metabolites necessary for synthesis of nucleic acids, proteins, and lipids, which are in contrast high demand due to the intense cell division in cancer. Meaning they have to keep replicating due to that, and they're replicating so fast, but they're using 1 glucose for 2 ATP. Okay, so that's why, like I said, it's less efficient during cancer. This is the main reason why the cancer cell does not give up on glycolysis despite the high demand for energy in the form of ATP. One of the evolving trends in the development of anti-cancer therapies is to exploit differences in the metabolism of normal cells and cancer cells. And due to the fact that cancer utilizes an aerobic form of glycolysis, they will say that cancer is aerobic. But I'm going to show you right now that it's not. It's anaerobic. Okay? It's an anaerobic being, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. But what it's doing is it's using up your oxygen. And watch what happens. I'm going to show you what's going to happen. This is the main reason why cancer cells does not give up on glycolysis despite the high demand for energy in the form of ATP. One of the evolving trends in the development of anti-cancer therapies is to exploit differences in the metabolism of normal cells and cancer cells. Currently constructed therapies based on cell metabolism focuses on the attempt to reprogram the metabolic pathways of the cell in such a manner that it becomes possible to stop unrestrained proliferation. So in other words, them things are just going to go crazy. They'll just start, they'll just keep expanding, right? Because they're not in communication with the rest of the blood cells. So they've lost communication, all right? And I might deal with that this week, how they've lost communication. And that's something new that they found, really. So, introduction, as they say. Features that distinguish the tumor cells from normal cells are increased proliferation, impaired differentiation and maturation, which result from regulatory changes occurring at cellular and tissue levels in the tumor. Impaired access to nutrients such as glucose, which is our food. Remember, sugar is our food. Glucose is the form it has to break down into for us to be able to, our bodies to take it. So even fructose gets broken down into glucose. All right. But it's eating up your glucose, which is your food. So you're starving to death. It's trying to starve you. And it's doing what? It's getting rid of your, and this is real food. When I say that, I'm saying you can create glucose, remember, by just lifting weights or breathing and all that. You can create glucose. You don't have to put in physical food to create glucose. It's eating up your real food, right? And oxygen. Okay? So look, watch what it says. It says features that distinguish tumor cells from normal cells are increased proliferation. All right? I apologize. I meant to bring this back for you all to be able to see it. Increased proliferation, impaired differentiation, and maturation, which result from regulatory changes occurring at cellular and tissue levels in the tumor. Impaired access to nutrients such as glucose and oxygen. Pay very close attention to that. Those are the two things you need in order to live. Oxygen and glucose, which is your food. Cancer is stealing it. And then watch what it does. Among others, manifests itself in impaired cellular metabolism, resulting in a switch to anaerobic metabolism. So then what it does is basically becomes anaerobic and cuts itself off from the spirit or the oxygen. So it takes your oxygen and then locks it away or turns it into almost carbon. I don't know if it's turning it into carbon dioxide, but I believe that's what it's doing. But what happens is it flips, and when it switches to anaerobic, that means no oxygen, nothing can get in. So if your body starts filling up with this, these are areas that have no oxygen or no spirit able to get to those locations. Therefore, no communication can happen, and they've created a tumor. This is where the tumor comes in. Okay? So they're like closing off oxygen. They're stealing your oxygen, stealing your food, and then locking it up, locking you off from it. Right? It's cold. Cold, almost like it was invented in a laboratory, huh? That's almost like a weapon. But it could have just been something that was created, so if we walked out of line with nature, it would cut us off. So I can't say that because nature is that cold. It will do that. It will do that. So Warburg in 1927, and remember this guy right here because he figured this point out. In 1927, studied cancer cells for respiration and fermentation processes. So how it breathes, right? So how it breathes and then how it ferments. He observed that in the presence of oxygen, glucose is converted to pyruvate and then enters the tricarboxylic acid cycle, the TCA cycle, okay, where it should undergo oxidative phosphorylation and consequently lactate production should be minimal, okay? So it should not create lactic acid, okay? Right, which is another form of sugar, right? So lactic acid, though, production should be minimal, okay? However, Warburg in his in vivo and ex vivo, in life and out of life studies, basically, I believe that's what it's saying, showed that the presence of oxygen increased glucose uptake and increased lactate synthesis in cancer cells compared to normal cells. Okay, so in other words, it ate up more food and increased more negative acid in the body. Okay, so it ate up more food, and when its waste or its dung or its doo-doo, right, is lactic acid. So remember, if you remember when we talked, if you've been in my health class and we talked about how the omega-6, omega-3s, and I showed you that your cells have waste in them and then they're rigid, so the waste couldn't get out and new nutrients couldn't get in. Well, with the cancer cell, the waste coming out of the cancer cell is lactic acid or lactate, right? which is lactic acid basically, and then coming in to it, it's taking up all your food, your sugar, right? This is what's happening to the body. Okay, this is cancer, and this is how it works. So cancer cells prefer glycolysis, right? Okay, so let me go back up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna reread that. However, Warburg in his in vivo and ex vivo studies showed that the presence of oxygen increased glucose uptake and increased lactate synthesis in cancer cells compared to normal cells. This process called the Warburg effect. This is called the Warburg effect. Demonstrates that compared to normal cells, cancer cells prefer glycolysis to mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation to generate the energy required for growth. Okay? This process is commonly found in proliferating cells and occurs even when the tissue is adequately oxygenated, whether normal or cancerous. However, the most important task for rapidly growing tissues is to produce components such as nucleotides, amino acids, and lipids, which are essential for the production of stem cells and not necessary to produce large amounts of ATP. In biomass production, on the other hand, the main substrate is pyruvate, which has its origin in glycolysis and is further converted to acetyl coenzyme, right, which is an alcohol. Meanwhile, the Warburg effect alone does not fully explain how aerobic glycolysis causes mass accumulation and excessive proliferation of cancer cells. This is because glucose does not necessarily supply all the elements needed for cell growth. When it comes to cellular components, other elements such as nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus are obviously important, in addition to carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, right? Now you're hearing it's talking about what? It's talking about what's in the air, talking about spirit again. See, all of this is in spirit, minus sulfur. I don't know if sulfur is, and phosphorus, but definitely nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, that's in the air. Right? So this is spirit. They're saying it needs spirit in order to grow. The normal cells. So they don't understand how cancer is growing without spirit, without the full components of spirit. That's what they're saying. Right? A developing tumor can be seen as a structure consisting of many cells that do not have enough nutrients and oxygen. Right? Those are cancer cells. In other words, they don't have enough food and they don't have enough spirit. Actually, they ain't going to have none in a minute. You're going to see. Because of this, new blood vessels can form and grow. Right? So because of this, new blood vessels can form and grow. With the formation of new blood vessels inside the tumor, better oxygenation and nutrition of the cells is possible, which promotes metastasis because now it's going to look for it. Right? It's going to start searching. Now it's going to spread because it needs to keep eating. Why? Because it's not creating the ATP necessary and it's not getting the other oxygen and so forth. So it's constantly searching, right? And then cutting off. With the formation of new blood vessels inside the tumor, better oxidation and nutrition of the cells is possible, which promotes metastasis. There is still no good explanation why mitochondrial respiration is abandoned in the cancer cell in favor of aerobic glycolysis. Right? They can't explain it. Mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation from one glucose molecule produces 32 to 36 ATP molecules, whereas glycolysis produces only 2 molecules, which we already talked about. One hypothesis is that lactate, right? One hypothesis is that lactate, see something, production in cancer cells is associated with impaired oxidative phosphorylation. And don't worry, I'm going to break this down real simple. Due to mitochondrial damage, a polemic heated up around Warburg's theory, particularly involving Sidney Whitehouse. Using isotope labeling, Whitehouse showed that phosphorylation rates in normal cells, as well as in cancer cells, are similar, indicating that mitochondria in cancer cells are not damaged. Okay, which is deep. Nevertheless, the production of ADP by glycolysis is more efficient because this route is faster than oxidative phosphorylation if the glucose level is unlimited. If it's unlimited, but it's not. It's not. In other words, it would be if you had an unlimited supply of glucose, which you don't. So therefore, because you don't have an unlimited supply of glucose, it's not efficient. What they're saying is, let's say you had a car, right? And you just had an unlimited supply of gas that you could give the car. There's possibly a different process that's more efficient or quicker to get the fuel to run to the engine and this and that, if you didn't have to worry about gas. But because we have to worry about putting gas in the car, we need the most that's going to give us the longest mileage for fuel. The normal cell is set up to give you the most mileage for the food you eat. In other words, you could last a long time on just a little bit of food with normal cells. With cancer cells, you cannot, because cancer cells are going to eat up all the glucose quickly. Right? So when they're saying it's more efficient for quicker synthesis, right? To assimilate it. It's quicker. It's more efficient in that sense, but it's less efficient for the long term, right? Because we don't have an unlimited supply of glucose. Okay. Now, Warburg effect. Normal cells undergoing division use oxidative phosphorylation as their main energy source. Okay. As mentioned before, one glucose molecule can then become a source of as many as 32 to 36 ATP molecules. That's why it's efficient. Whereas in the case of metabolism based solely on glycolysis, the gain is only 2 ATP molecules per one glucose molecule. Okay? This is important. Super important. Okay? Now, although the aerobic metabolism of glucose is more efficient, right? Remember, this is an aerobic process. Okay? Not anaerobic. The process of pulling the air, pulling the oxygen and the sugar, that's aerobic, meaning it's using and taking spirit to do it. Is more efficient. The metabolism based on intensive glycolysis provides intermediate metabolites necessary for the synthesis of nucleic acids, proteins, and lipids, for which there is a continuous high demand due to intensive cell division. So now it's not only taking your food, it's taking your protein and your fats. It's taking everything from you. It's taking all of it. Glucose metabolism in the pentose phosphate pathway, or the PPP, is accompanied by the production of NADPH, which is not only necessary for reduction biosynthesis, but also for maintaining optimal levels of reduced glutathione, okay, or GSH, okay, which glutathione, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the amino acids, and whether it's essential or not, I can't remember, but it's one of the amino acids, which plays a major role in protecting the cell against reactive oxygen species. Okay, the concentration of ROS in cancer cells is usually high, which promotes damage to DNA. Right? It promotes damage to DNA and tumor progression, with their toxic effects on all cell structures and pro-apoptic effects, or pro-apoptic, excuse me. Let me say this right. Pro-apoptic, yeah. Apoptotic. Yeah, that's what I want. Pro-apoptotic effects, okay? Now, making it necessary to keep ROS in the tumor cell constant. Furthermore, reactive oxygen species can induce apoptosis in glucose-free cells. Okay? So furthermore, reactive oxygen species can induce apoptosis in glucose-free cells, as their high concentration inhibits the oxidation of fatty acids, an alternative energy source in the absence of sugar. All right? So this is what you eat when you don't have sugar. But again, it's shutting that down. So it's cutting off all your food sources, real food sources. It's cutting them all off. Right? And then on top of it, it's cutting off your oxygen, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Right? Furthermore, reactive oxygen species can induce. Okay, I did that already. Let's continue. Another important metabolic factor for the progression of cancer is acidification. This is key. So remember, the lactate is coming. That's the waste. So now we have A is still in your food, all sources of it. It's still in your protein, your lipids, which is not food for us, but they're the building blocks of our body, right? And on top of that, it's stealing the it's only creating 2 ATP, right? So it's still in your food, and then it's still in your oxygen, right? And now it's creating what? Waste, which is massive acid in our body, and our body is not based for acid. Acid kills us, right? So that's why the alkalinity is key. So occurring due to the excessive production of lactate, right? Right, exactly. So again, it says another important metabolic factor for the progression of cancer is acidification occurring due to the excessive production of lactate. The final product of anaerobic, what? Anaerobic glycolysis. Now they switch to what? Anaerobic. Now they've cut the spirit off. So they steal all the stuff at like a regular cell, but they're only producing low quality, right? Low amounts. So they have to they have to create a bunch of them, a bunch of cells that have the power, right? To create what? A tumor. And all of those cells that'll be creating quickly, because remember, it's more efficient, it's faster. Now that it's creating those tumors quickly, I mean, what happens is they build up quickly. Now they create a tumor. Then they go anaerobic. And now they're going to do anaerobic glycolysis. Right? So they're cutting off the oxygen. They're stealing your oxygen and cutting it off. Or cutting off the spirit. And I told you, wherever spirit doesn't live, what's going to show up there? Death, disease, sickness. The lactate is secreted into the extracellular space. So its goal, when it comes in, is to take your spirit. That's really what it's doing. The lactate is secreted into the extracellular space, causing local acidosis. Okay? Now, this is deep. Local acidosis. Low pH in the microenvironment of the tumor causes death of the surrounding normal cells. So now, through acidosis, because the pH drops so low, right? Then what happens is now your normal cells are being murdered. So it murders your normal cells. Degradation of the intercellular matrix and the induction of angiogenesis, which increases the aggressiveness of the tumor. Let's read that again. Low pH in the microenvironment of the tumor causes death of the surrounding normal cells. Degradation of the intercellular matrix and the induction of angiogenesis, which increases the aggressiveness of the tumor. Wow. The determination of lactate dehydrogenase, right? Lactate dehydrogenase. Now we see that as what? Dehydration. Now is that attacking the water? Right? Man, this thing ain't no joke. Dehydrogenase concentration is a well-known prognostic marker for many cancer types. Okay. So the Crabtree effect. The switch from aerobic metabolism to glycolysis is observed in many cancers and is induced by glucose. This apparent phenomenon is known as the Crabtree effect and has not yet been well understood. Okay, so I wanted you to get that. I wanted you to get that point right there. I'm not going to go deeper into this article, but I wanted you to understand that it's anaerobic, right? Which means that what? The oxygen is cut off. And where the oxygen is cut off, again, now you have what? Death, period. But not only is it cutting off it's cutting off everything. I mean, that mug goes in there and eats up all your food, eats your proteins, your lipids, puts puts acid in that then destroys the normal cells. Man, that is deadly, right? So that's something we don't even want to play with. Okay, we don't even want to play with that. Okay, so that's a serious issue. All right, and one day I might just go through this whole thing because this is powerful right here. There's a lot of information and helping us get the understanding, right? So there's two types of tumors that you're going to hear about, right? So remember, cancer are each individual cell. Cells are cancer. Okay. Now, what they develop, they come together as a community and they develop tumors. Okay. Now, the tumor can either be malignant or benign. Okay. The main difference between benign and malignant tumors is that benign tumors are what? Non-cancerous. So if it's benign, it's not cancerous. Okay, it's just a tumor that's not going to spread. It's done what it's supposed to do. The cancer cells came in, they did what they're supposed to do, I guess, and just built a tumor, and it doesn't have any cancer cells in it anymore. While malignant tumors are cancerous and can spread to other parts of the body, remember this is what metastasis is. These are dangerous. The malignant ones are dangerous. Benign tumors, these tumors are usually not life-threatening and grow slowly in one location. They are unlikely to come back after being removed. Examples include fibroids in the uterus and lipomas in the skin. Okay? Malignant tumors. These tumors are cancerous and can grow rapidly and spread to other parts of the body. This spread is called metastasis and can occur anywhere in the body, but most commonly in the liver, lungs, brain, and bone. Malignant tumors can be life-threatening, but some are curable if caught early. Treatment options include surgery, chemotherapy, or radiotherapy, but I'm going to show you, we're going to deal with that later. These are the medical treatments. Okay? These are medical treatments. Now, what I want you to understand is this. When you go in, if you find out you have cancer, before they touch you, before they cut on you, do anything, first thing you want to find out is it benign or malignant? This is very important to understand. You want to know, is the cancer benign or malignant? Okay? These are two words you should have in your vocabulary when it comes to cancer to find out. Okay? Make sure you know that. All right? Now, all right, I already dealt with that. Let's see if there's something here that I wanted. I don't think so. Ultraviolet. Oh, yes, I did. I know what I wanted out of this. So here it says cancer is a genetic disease that occurs when normal cells transform into tumor cells. This process is called right, we're at the causes. I'm sorry. Now we're at the cause. So this process is caused by a combination of genetic factors and external agents, including genetic factors, inherited genetic mutations or errors that occur as cells divide, which you can fix through nutrition. Okay? Environmental factors, exposure to physical, chemical, or biological carcinogens. Now remember, I did a whole video on carcinogens, right? So anytime you're putting any carcinogen in your body, or you're around them, or you're touching them, or anything, that can cause cancer, for real. So physical carcinogens, ultraviolet and ionizing radiation from the sun. That can happen if you're in the sun too much. Okay, they're saying. But it also, I believe, has to synthesize with what you're eating. Chemical carcinogens, asbestos, components of tobacco smoke, alcohol, aflatoxin, and arsenic. Biological carcinogens, infections from certain viruses, bacteria, or parasites. Okay, so those can be carcinogens. Lifestyle factors, diet, exercise, and chronic health conditions like ulcerative colitis. Okay, so this right here, I'm telling you, if your diet ain't right, it's gonna cause all of this. But we talked about that. Now, they say there's no sure way to prevent cancer, but you can reduce your risk by the first thing on the list, eating right. But what does eating right mean? See, this is where a major problem comes in. Why? Because what does it mean to eat right? If you don't know your limit, the proper limit that you're supposed to be on, right? Like I teach you all in the health class, if you don't know it, you can't eat right. What you gonna follow? The standard American diet? If you follow the standard American diet, it's gonna give you cancer. And I'm gonna show you why in a minute. So when they say eat right, what does that mean? They're not going to give you the proper definition of eating right. So therefore, you can get cancer over and over again. Staying active, not smoking, being safe in the sun, protecting against HPV, and getting regular cancer screenings. Okay? That's what they'll say. I'm not saying that. You only get a cancer screening when you need to. All right. Now, what foods are going to cause cancer, right? So now we're going to start talking about how to heal cancer, okay? So this is key. How to heal cancer, right? We're going to start getting into that now.
For the rest of this video and more of these, you can join us at patreon.com/health class. Again, that's patreon.com/health class. And join one of our paid tiers. Any of them will do. And you join one of those tiers, you can watch the rest of these videos, as well as all the other videos that I produced, including my former health classes, which is 4 to 8 hours of information that can help you on your health journey to the top. All right. So I look forward to sharing that adventure with you. I look forward to seeing you at the top of your health journey. Peace. For the rest of this video and more videos like these, you can join us at patreon.com/health class. Again, that's patreon.com/health class. And join one of our paid tiers. Any of them will do. And you join one of those tiers, you can watch the rest of these videos, as well as all the other videos that I produced, including my former health classes, which is 4 to 8 hours of information that can help you on your health journey to the top. All right. So I look forward to sharing that adventure with you. I look forward to seeing you at the top of your health journey. Peace.
Jerry, send me a picture of that. Text me a picture of it. All right, Lala Shalom.